Hi, welcome to Nav's Comics. Hope you survived the experience. So today I'm just going to go through a local comic book pickup. This is the kind of video that I wanted to do like when I started my channel. I guess there's nothing in particular like wonderful or I don't know. It's just I wanted to share some thoughts, like the thought process I went through throughout all this. And I feel like I'm really like now I'm like kind of getting your expectations high. It's not like it's almost like the normal Navi-Story of real life instead of like a particular moment. Anyway, so first book I picked up was Bountiful Garden by, now I have this up here, Ivy Noel Wire, and you can see it's autographed. So I think she's local, and I think she talked to the local comic shop and said, hey, if you order a bunch, I'll sign them. And so I happened to notice this on the shelf, and I thought, oh, very cool. I'll check it out. I will make the purchase based on the fact that you signed this book I've never heard of. So, but apparently, let's see here. She's done a number of other things. Prince Les, Girls Rock, Girl Leadership Anthology. I don't know. Archival Quality. I should be showing you these images, and I'm not. Secret Garden. Anyway, she's done a variety of things. And yeah, so I just thought it'd be kind of cool to pick that up. Alright, so next one here, we have Wakanda. I did not pre-order this. I must have, well, either I missed it or I just kind of saw it and just went past it. I heard that it was like a first story of M'Baku like, as a hero, which really appealed to me, so I thought I would check that out. So it's not so much like a spec, it's just I'm really interested in this story, so I want to. And overall, I'm kind of enjoying this whole Last Annihilation thing. I think it's kind of cool. You can see, I didn't notice it before, but whoops, you can see Dormammu, the planet, right behind him. So that's pretty neat. And then I got first. I guess this is the first appearance of Boosh. This kind of pulls at the heartstrings a little bit in terms of nostalgia. Kind of. I just always kind of dig that character. Like I'm pretty sure I had the action figure as a kid. So yeah. All right. So okay, I'll leave that up there. So I go to the shop. I'm picking that up, and I'm kind of perusing. They have like a separate section for their more expensive comics. I'm kind of perusing there, and they do have some older Uncanny X-Men. And I don't know, for some reason. Like, okay, I happened to notice a comic that was $150. Then they had a cheaper one. I thought it was like $140. I don't know. So I go home, and I'm like, what? Which comic was that? And I was like, I swear to God, I saw 94 there. I'm like, was that 94? And it was already late, so like they're already closed. I'm like, oh my God, do they have an Uncanny X-Men 94? For $150, and I'm kind of freaking out about this. I'm looking online. I'm like, what's the going rate? I'm like, my God, you can get like a trash copy of it for $150, and it looked pretty good. So I'm getting kind of nervous. So today I go in, and I don't know. I'm like kind of nerve wracked because if it actually is a number 94 for $150, why is it $150? Like, even 10 years ago, it would be more expensive than that. So it just had me nervous. And I remember it looked good. Anyway, so I go back in, and I'm kind of perusing the place. I figure I had some time. I'm just kind of checking all this stuff out. So eventually I get back to the case where they have comics inside the case, and they didn't have a 94 there. I swear to God, they had a 94 before. They had a 100. So maybe I'm confusing myself. So they had an issue 100. Kind of low to mid-grade edition. And I distinctly remember they had the McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man with Hydro Man, or whatever his name is, on the cover. That was like, they had it listed for like 170 or something. But then they had like an empty, there's a holder there, and it was empty. I'm like, they sell it? Like, did someone, between me being there almost at closing last night and then today, did someone see it and buy it already? I'm like, I don't know, I was kind of unsure. But then I went through and looked through their their quote unquote expensive back issues, and they had Uncanny X-Men number 96 for 150 and a lower grade 96 for 105. So I think that's probably what I saw, and I just kind of got myself twisted up last night thinking about what I actually saw. So it was a number 96. I just got home, so I haven't actually looked up to see like what a 96 goes for. Like maybe I should go pick that up because it looked to be in pretty good condition, at least from the cover. I didn't ask to look at it, the back or the inside or anything. So yeah. Anyway, I was kind of hopeful that I was going to be picking up a grail of mine for ridiculously cheap, but and then this is a shop that like in my mind notorious for upcharging. Like a lot of the back issues I feel kind of more expensive than they should be, but I feel like maybe they're just kind of buffering, like, this day and age where things kind of spike out of nowhere, might as well just raise the ceiling a little bit on your prices just to make sure you don't, just so you, I guess, are as a safety measure, I guess, in terms of making sales. So, and then they've also had week one books for more expensive, which I know a lot of shops do. We all have our different opinions about that. But I will say, I did also talk to I feel like he's the manager, maybe owner, I'm not sure, because there's a number of employees there. But I asked him if, hey, do you facilitate grading of comics? He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I mean, act like a middleman between a customer and CGC or CBCS. So I'm like, I know I can do it myself, but I'm wondering if you provide that as a service. And he's like, no, we don't. And then I asked, are there any local cleaning or pressers that you would recommend? And he said he knew of one local cleaner or presser, but they went out of business during the pandemic. So, but then we got to talking a little bit about that. He really, I feel like why am I leaning so hard over here? Yeah. So then he was kind of strongly suggesting I just learn to press myself, buy the presser and start to learn, which does appeal to me. That does interest me, but I just, I'm just kind of, well, I don't know how to put this, but anyway, I'm not there yet. So I'll just say that. I'm not there yet. I need, and I have not been at all, but I need to start selling comics. So that's my first goal. And once I kind of get in that pattern of doing that, then maybe I'll bring in pressing. Not that it has to be in order, but I'm just that way. I guess maybe it's an OCD type thing. I'm not sure, but yeah. So I'm not quite ready to start pressing on my own, but it does interest me, and I'm sure maybe someday I'll start doing it. It reminds me of my stepfather who had a working station, whatever you want to call it, in the basement, where he would reload shotgun shells. So it's just kind of not that there's the same thing at all, but it's a little workshop for your hobby and trying to enhance your hobby. Yeah. Well, anyway, that was kind of the thing that I would not talk to anyone about, and I just think it was kind of fun to share and talk about that. So if you have any responses or thoughts or whatever, feel free to comment below. You'll see I pretty much always 100% of the time I'm going to respond to comments, maybe 99.9%. Sometimes you get the heart and that's it. And you know what? I hope you still appreciate that, because I really do appreciate your comments and liking and subscribing. But anyway, we'll move on. There's not too much more to go here. So anyway, I went in today, looking for that 94. I didn't see it. And I happened to notice, so I probably, I did a lot of perusing today. I probably wasn't really going to buy anything. I was just kind of curious about what they had, maybe looking for any kind of deals, but I wasn't really expecting any there, for reasons I've already said. But then I happened to notice on the shelf, they had Skybound, is it number 3? Number 3, the EH on it. And then I'm like, okay, well, they had this on the shelf earlier with a signature, and they're all signed. But for this one, it was just this one signed. None of the others were. So I flagged down one of the people working there. I'm like, I'm just kind of curious, what's going on here? I take it this is a signature, and someone didn't just write EH on it, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, that's Erica Henderson. She's done some work on Squirrel Girl, and there was something else that she did. And yeah, so when she comes in, she'll usually sign a couple of books, but I guess she's local to where I'm at. Yeah, so we'll get to more on that in a moment, but then I bought another one of these. Whatever, I did. But anyway, so back on Erica Henderson, who, let me just pull up, I have a little more No, not quite. Just, I guess she's a two-time Eisner Award-winning comics artist and animator. So she's mainly known for her work on Unbeatable Squirrel. So, I have to get my window back up so I can see what you're looking at. So I'm just going to pull this back down. So, Erica Henderson worked on, let's see, Assassination Boys Trip. I'm trying to remember what that was about. It was after the Science Dog piece. Yeah, I don't really remember. I did read it. I just don't remember much about it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll pick that up. So now I'm buying something. So I bought that. And that's when I decided to get that second copy of Boosh. I wasn't going to otherwise. But then they also, so leave that there. But no, I'll take it down. So they mentioned, oh, she did this Dracula book. I'm like, oh, really? And like, yeah, it came out about a year ago. I'm like, oh, I bought a vampire book about a year ago. It was like red, and actually, I think it's, yeah. And I still haven't read it. Oh, I'm so behind on my reading. So I'm like, I'm thinking of this book, but this actually was not hers. And so they point me like, oh yeah, it's right over there. I'm like, oh yeah, I have that book. And then they go pick it up. I'm like, oh no, I have the one next to it, which is Fangs by Sarah Anderson. On the back it says, a love story between a vampire and a werewolf. Anyway, that wasn't at all what I was going to talk about, but they pointed out this book. Dracula, motherfucker. Oh my gosh, I thought that was so funny. And, you know, she apparently signed the inside as well, with a little bat. You can see that. Yeah, so kind of like, you know, she does Squirrel Girl and then she does Dracula, motherfucker, you know. Yeah, so that was $17. So here I am on a whim buying that book to check out. So I mean, I've always been partial to vampire stuff. I mean, that's why I bought Fangs. You know, like just I go way back with that. Like that was, you may not believe it, I was very much a goth kid growing up. Still until like I still like that music and everything. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it. That's all I want to talk about. I just want to share my little comic book adventure that I had. So yeah, I have another video probably coming out the next day or so, just to go over the mystery box comics that I got. I was gonna say one, but I mean I did buy them. So, but you know, it's you know, it's like a gamble. So whether you win or lose is all, I guess, in terms of value, I suppose. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and it really means a lot. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.